nobody's panties are flying off just because you threw a football down the hallway.
Did you hear that?
Slash.
There it is again.
The remains of the missing teens were found severed into pieces.
Kids better watch your step.
It's like something out of a horror movie.
That's some scary shit, Bob.
Oh, scary shit indeed, Diana.
Well, hello, Mr. Slash.
What's up and welcome to the Slasha Brotha podcast, episode 2 of the Slasha Brotha podcast. I'm your host, Rashard Cunningham, the brother who gushes for the good, the bad, and the most gory cinematic or streamed horror story. And today I'm going to go back into the 80s, specifically one of the best and most notable years of the 80s, 1984. I'm going to talk about the film Angel. Angel is a Sandy Howard production starring Donna Wilkes, Susan Terrell, and John Deal, and also Cliff Gorman. Now, I'm going to keep it real with you guys. This is not a slasher, really.
Boo, you whore.
It's a crime story. There's murder happening, but it's not a typical cabin in the woods, horny teenagers type of thing. There are teenagers, but there's totally something different going on here. This is not a masked killer. This is not like a Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers type of person. This is real life. And even though there's drama to it and it's a movie, this is grounded in reality. Our killer is 100% just crazy, ordinary guy on the street. And I think that's what makes it a little bit more creepy too, because I hated John Deal's character through this entire movie. He just made me very uncomfortable. There's in particular a scene. He's really made me look at eggshells in the most uncomfortable way now. It's become like a weird thing. Like every time I see a cracked eggshell, I go back to a scene in this movie that's just very weird. And John Deal is playing a killer, and he is playing a killer that is targeting prostitutes on Hollywood Boulevard. I don't know what the laws were about prostitution in LA or in Hollywood, or if it's allowed but like nobody says anything. Just because sex work has come a long way in our generation, now it's become a thing of we don't really condemn sex work, and there's more of an understanding and I guess maybe less of a stigma in our generation about it. But in the 80s, it was more everyone's got to be morally centered and everybody's got to be basically 100% Christian. Otherwise,
Help the sinning woman see the sin of her days and ways.
The vibe when we open with this movie is very...
Here's the story of a lovely lady
is walking on Hollywood Boulevard, because we have basically teenage Cindy Brady. We're introduced to our main character, Molly. She's leaving her apartment. She's got pigtails and high socks, and she looks like the school marm's child. We don't even know her name is Molly at first. Everyone on the street is calling her Angel just casually, even though, she's dressed to the nines. And she catches the bus to school. She goes to a prep school, and she has a pretty average life from the looks of it. She's a normal teenager, kind of quiet, not really popular, but everybody knows her. She's just the girl that's around. She has a Lexi from Euphoria vibe, but at the same time, she's not out of the in crowd, but she's not in, and we find out because of the life she leads. So Molly is at school, and we get that she's very studious, she's front of the class type of girl, and she even gets asked out by this guy who is a complete nerd, and also we find out he's an asshole later in the movie, but he asks Molly out, and he's all nervous about it, and she doesn't reject him, like, get away from me. She just says, my mom says I'm too young to date. And he's just like, oh, okay, that sucks. All right, maybe next time. And she's just like, yeah, in your dreams. So we have Molly, and she is getting dressed in her most fabulous 80s glam look. And we get shots of Hollywood Boulevard at night in the 80s. And I think it's a bit over dramatized. I think because they knew that a movie was being filmed there, so they just had all these crazy street performers out. I don't know if Hollywood Boulevard's really that live, especially now because of the pandemic, but even then, just regularly, I don't think it's booming this crazily. But we see every street performer under the sun. It's practically the circus. People are riding huge bikes through the street. And we have Molly. She's on the street, and people are catcalling to her. This one guy is just utterly disgusting. And he, like, hops out of the truck while he's talking shit to her. And it just...
Well, I tell you something. You just take a piss on one of those Hollywood stars. I wouldn't live with your daddy.
We all of a sudden get what Molly's situation is. The second that we get the shot and it's panning up, we see she is in her pink stilettos and her short leather skirt and a pink shirt. She is a teenage hooker. She is a prostitute. And she is offering herself to the guy. He says, I have $20. She's like, yeah, okay.
I called you cheap, Madeline, because that's what I think of you.
Who do you think you're talking to?
Tacky little tramp.
But then she gets picked up by a cop. But the thing about Molly is she's smart. She knows that this guy is a cop because she was taught well. She has really great friends on the street. This is what I love about this movie. Every other street performer is her homie. We are introduced to Roy Calhoun playing Kit Carson. He's this older gentleman who is just dressed in all this Western garb, and he has the good old front like he has a Yosemite Sam kind of thing. And we also get introduced to Angel's friend. Well, at night she's Angel, by day she's Molly, so I'm just gonna call her Angel. So tonight she's Angel, and Angel, she realizes that this guy she's in the car with is a cop, and she's just not gonna fall for it. And she just says, listen, sir, I'm underage, why don't you just drop me off? Her homegirl is May. May is biologically male, but May is always in makeup, dressed as a woman. I can't personally put an identity on this character, and I'm struggling to figure out how to gender May correctly because I want to say she. It's not stated if May is a trans character. It's basically she just dresses in drag, but the way May carries herself throughout the movie, she carries herself like a woman. She's never not in makeup. We have moments where we see May without her wig, but it's May to me. I mean, May is like a she. May is she to me. May decides to come up to the cop, and she's just like, "Hold on one second, honey." And then she's like, "Why don't you go spank your monkey numbnuts?" So May is a shit talker. May is street smart. She's street slick.
Give a man something to suck on, and he's happy.
May is that chick. She's cool. She's like, kind of like a big sister or a mother figure, because we also get that Angel. We get that Angel is got some issues with her parents. Apparently her mother is sick, quote unquote, because she mentions that her mom wasn't feeling well when she goes to get ice cream with May and her girls, Crystal and Lana. And the guy who runs the restaurant, he says, "Oh, how's your mom, Angel?" So she's known around the area. She's just a local girl, never gets into trouble. People know what she does, but at the same time, they're also just very, keep your nose clean, kid, and you'll be all right. So she's got a good group of people around her, even though it's not an ideal situation. However, her friends are very somber about the murders that are happening in the area. 2 of their friends have already been killed. They said Faye and Cherry, I believe, are their names. And Lana is really upset. She wants to just get the hell out of town. It's very American Horror Story 1984.
I got a gig as a counselor at a summer camp. They're opening up a couple of hours from here. You guys should all come.
And so this is Lana's mode. She's just like, I want to go to Tahiti. I want to see the world. And later in the movie, we even see that Angel also is kind of on board with that idea. And she's just like, yeah, if we do like a sister thing or say we're sisters, we can get like a discount. So, they're both just feeling getting out of LA pretty soon. Meanwhile, Crystal, she's whatever about stuff. She doesn't really get too emotional about things. And afterwards, Crystal and Angel, they go off and they go up their separate ways. Angel, she's going to go off with May because she has to get home later. They live in the same building and Angel's got to study. And Crystal, she goes off because she wants to go flirt with one of the guys we see on the street earlier. He is dressed as Charlie Chaplin and he's a cute guy. His name is Yo-Yo Charlie. And she's all like, yeah, I want to go flirt with Yo-Yo and, see what he's doing. And Yo-Yo and Kit are just hanging out, and Charlie is just sitting there like, hey Crystal, you really look great. Like he's cute. He doesn't mind that Crystal is also a prostitute. He is just very sweet to her. He treats her like a lady. He asks her out and she says yes, and he actually gives her his spinning top, and she weirdly looks at it like, oh, it's beautiful, like it's the greatest thing. But I get the chemistry between them, so that was very sweet and nice. After Yo-Yo and Crystal go their separate ways, and Yo-Yo, he even has a thing like he goes like, because she said yes, he's all psyched. Crystal is being followed by our serial killer in the movie, John Deal. John Deal played this role so well. Apparently, as an actor, he avoids typecasting, is what I've read. So I thought that was an interesting thing to know. I didn't know as an actor you could actually do that. I know you can pick your projects and everything. I just didn't know there was a certain form of typecasting, like I'm going to do this role, but then I'm never going to touch it again, or I'm just going to do this role. Like it is interesting, an interesting idea as an actor. I just didn't know you had that type of freedom, but John Deal is that actor, and he is playing this creepy thin man. He's nameless throughout this podcast. I'm just going to call him Creepy Thin Man. And he's following Crystal. Now, John Deal doesn't look terrible in this movie. He's actually really fit. This guy is literally living his best poor man's LA fitness life. We see his living conditions. He lives in like a one-room shack that has no electricity, and he works out with cinder blocks. The dude's jacked, but he's just off-putting. I think it's just his facial features as well. He's just very off. Like if you saw him on the train, you wouldn't want to look at him too long. That's what he looks like. But he pops up and surprises Crystal. Crystal just thinks, oh, it's another John, another night, whatever. But she takes him to these motel room spaces. They're like cabins. She takes him to these cabins where all of the girls who are working girls frequent. And I think this is also the same place. I think this is the same place where they filmed. And it's a similar scenario too. The film Species 2, which is one of my favorite Species films. The first one's good, but the second one is top notch. And they have a scene where the rich boy who turns into the alien, he is killing every woman he can find. Of course, he impregnates them, and the babies burst out of their stomachs. But he does this to a bunch of prostitutes, and they go to the same cabins. And I could tell that was the same location. So I don't know where this is in LA. I'm sure it is in LA. But I just realized, like, okay, similar situation. Crystal takes John Deal over here, and she's very casual about it. She's even saying like, "Oh, I could read your sign." Like she's just nonchalant about everything until John Deal snatches her up into the alley, and he just sticks her. And then it turns out that he takes Crystal into the room, And we understand this guy's MO right away because we're introduced to a character named Detective Andrews. I call him Street Dick all through my notes, so I'm going to call him Street Dick in this podcast. Street Dick shows up doing his best Dewey impersonation. Well, then again, he walked so Dewey could run because he's got an ice cream cone. Very wholesome. There's a lot of wholesome moments because every character in this movie, despite certain things they say or might do, there's still a wholesomeness to them and a softness and a kindness. And even Detective Andrews, the thing about him is you can tell he's not a bad guy, but he keeps the same face through the entire movie. He never once changes his expression. He doesn't smile. He has a moment when he's first introduced eating his ice cream, and he's talking to this street cop named Collins.
Who, me? I thought you'd never ask.
And he breaks down the killer's MO from he was assaulted by his mother, probably bisexual, he's a necrophiliac. And we see this because he has a moment after he murders Crystal. She's laying in bed, just dead, not moving, but he starts fondling her body, and all we get is him unbuckling his pants, but that's enough to get, okay, Andrews is smart. He knows exactly what this guy's issue is, and he even says he clearly wants to be caught. And you see, like, John Deal's character throughout this whole movie is just unstable. He's weird. So the egg thing that I mentioned earlier, there's a scene, because Street Dick mentions that John Deal's character was possibly assaulted by his mother.
Figure he was dumped by his own man when he was a kid. His mother probably abused him. We know he's a necro, probably bisexual, possibly impotent.
We get that ultimately confirmed because there's a cringe scene that has forever haunted my memory, and I always look at eggs weird now because John Deal gets a knife and he's twisting it into the egg and he starts sucking at it like it's a nipple. We see on the wall, he's got his mother's picture. The funny thing is, when we see the mother's picture come into frame, while he's sucking on the egg, you can't see her expression fully, but you see a bit of it. It almost looks like she's making a face while he's doing that. It looks like once you go into the focus of him and his picture with his mom, because he's in a sailor outfit when he's a kid, and it's just very weird. And the mom's making a face in the picture like,
You're a little nasty.
but then he starts sucking even harder, and then he smashes the eggshell into his face. Just the thought of eggshell in my mouth just makes me extremely uncomfortable and paranoid, and I've never looked at eggs the same. I was making French toast for the past, 2 weeks straight, and every time I would crack an egg, I would just be like, John Dill, creepy thin man in that movie. So that was disgusting. But then he also goes to the picture and kisses it with the eggshell, and okay. Before Crystal is even murdered, we get introduced to Angel's home life as well. We see her getting ready and, doing the makeup and stuff, but we get that her and May live in the same building. May lives with the landlord, Solly. Solly Mossler is played by Susan Terrell. I was first introduced to the actor Susan Terrell through, she was in an episode of Tales from the Crypt, because I love Tales from the Crypt. I'm pretty much obsessed with horror anthology. So it was the episode Comes the Dawn. And Comes the Dawn is an episode where these two hunters, they're looking for bear, because bear is expensive. And they're in the Arctic, or actually not even the Arctic, they're in Alaska.
I'm in Butthole, Alaska.
And they go up to Susan Terrell's bar, and they're talking shit to her, and they're talking about blenders or something like that.
Your favorite blender speed is Puree?
You get the hell out of here.
Just because she says it's late in the season to be hunting. And then they shoot her. It turns out Susan Terrell's character Mona is a vampire, and she even gets called a quote-unquote lesbian vampire biker whore.
It's gonna take a lot more than a lesbian vampire biker whore to ruin my day.
And it's a good episode. Johnny Depp, what he did for Susan Terrell was he held a benefit that would raise money for her medical benefits when she, really became ill before she had passed. And her last words, and I really love this, she wrote in her journal before she passed, "I demand my death be joyful, and I never return again." Very, very, very interesting woman. She's got a very distinct face, distinct feature. She's definitely a character actor, for real. Definitely a character actor. Solly, I love Solly. Solly is a crappy artist. Well, not crappy. Even though when Sully is introduced, May calls her work shit.
I call it fruit with gun.
I call it shit.
May and Sully's relationship is great because they're close. They're very close friends. However, they're the friends that bicker like brother and sister. They talk shit to each other nonstop.
How f***ing dare you? How f***ing dare you?
When I was a kid, my father warned me. He said, Rachel, don't ever play cards with a Jewish They cheat.
Eat my puff, will you?
The second that Kit drops off Angel and May to the apartment, May hears Sully saying, "Hey girls, come on in," and May just says, "Get the raid, my dear. I hear a cockroach. Let's investigate." May is throwing shade every 5 minutes. May is absolutely fabulous. She's my favorite character this entire movie. Just carried the comedy and the heart. And it's unfortunate when May does get stabbed later in the movie. They just have a great dynamic. And even Sully also, this is another example of Angel having a good support system. Sully is also very supportive of her, and they're all friends, but they're not just friends. That's like her chosen family, and I really liked seeing that and seeing all the dynamics of this chosen family not only form, but also there's like new members of her chosen family that come out of nowhere. For example, her guidance counselor, Miss Allen. Miss Allen's cool. Miss Allen is with the shits. She calls Molly into her office during the day because by day she's Molly, night she's Angel. She calls Molly into her office and she says, "I just really want to talk to you about how you're doing in school." And the thing is, Molly's a straight A student. Like, she doesn't play. She does not f*** around on her life at all. She pays her rent on time.
Morning, darling. Good morning. Come on in. It's rent time. Oh, gee, I almost forgot.
Molly tells her that the reason I can't participate in any extracurricular activities or anything, because Miss Allen, she's not about to get on Molly's case or anything. She's just like, are you having trouble making friends? Because you're smart, like you're going places, but you just don't seem to be interested in anything. And she's just like, well, my mom had a stroke and I have to go home and take care of her all the time. We never see her mom throughout this movie, and it's revealed later that her mom left her. Molly's situation is so sad. She's a daddy's girl and has, yes, some daddy issues because not only did her mom leave, her father left first. And she looks up at a picture and we find out why she chose the name Angel as her working girl name. There's a note on the picture saying, "To Molly, my angel." And Molly has this idea that her dad's going to come back for her. She's always held out hope, even though she hasn't seen... She's seen her mom more recently than her dad. Her dad left 9 years ago. Her mom left 3. And she's just been alone since she was 12. She's 15, almost 16. And it's just sad. You want more for her. You really do, because... You see she does have a chance, especially because she does have good people around her. It's not like she has a bunch of scumbags. She does encounter scumbags, of course. She knows what she has. Even her working girlfriends, before they're taken, they clearly looked out for each other, especially her and Lana. So it makes sense that her reaction when Lana is murdered is very, and I love this because, and this is why I say in most horror movies you would get the girl screaming frantically whenever she finds a body, and it's just really obnoxious. A lot of directors at this point have pointed out that it's obnoxious to just always be screaming at the top of your lungs sometimes. Like, you can have a different reaction. And her reaction is really refreshing. She finds Lana hacked up in the bathroom because she's also been killed by John Deal's character. Because I mentioned that Lana wants to go to Tahiti, and her and Angel were talking about doing a girls' trip. Well, they share the same cabin when they take their Johns, and she gets this one guy who's an absolute asshole. Angel gets the asshole. Lana gets the murderer. The guy that Angel shows up with, he says a line because, well, one, he calls her the C word.
I think we better do this another time, definitely.
Hey, hold it! You're not going anywhere.
Go of my arm!
He says, "You better be 14, baby."
You better be 14, baby, or I'm gonna throw you back in for being too old.
Ew. And so Angel is no stranger to guys that prey on underage girls. God, I just want so much better for her as a character. She deserves it.
Well, let me tell you, you'll never get it.
And she goes in with this asshole, and apparently she thinks Lana's not there because Lana didn't respond. But the guy, she tells him, okay, go freshen up and I'll, get ready for you. He comes out of the bathroom just like white. Like, I just saw it come out of the drain white. And Angel has no idea. She's just like, what's your problem, bro?
I said, we have a problem?
He just runs away. You hear his car speed off. He had no time for anything that was going on in that moment. Angel, she slowly goes in, opens the shower in the bathroom. We see Lana's been stabbed and cut up. Instead of Angel screaming, she just sinks in the bathroom, and she barely can scream, "Help me," because she just sounds like she's gonna throw up, and she sounds like her whole body, like she does not know what to do. That felt very real for me. That felt like a very genuine way to react to something like that. You're not always gonna run away. Sometimes, depending who it is, you might just be stunned and you might just sink. After both Crystal and Lana are murdered, Street Dick, he has Collins as like his sidekick now, because he was basically telling Collins in the beginning when they were doing the ice cream thing, why don't you get out those rags and come work with me on the street because you know how to work the boulevard. So, Collins gets a cool little promotion. Unfortunately, that promotion does him in later, and because he ends up getting stabbed by John Deal's character, and then he's put in a phone booth. Everybody is pissed about the murders who works the street. Even the street performers are mad because there's a community there. Obviously they know each other. You're gonna know some people on the street. I'm sure Yo-Yo's cool with people. Kit is definitely like the grandfather of Hollywood Boulevard. He's the cool guy gunslinging. So they're all just pissed. And Kit is going off. He's saying, it's like a massacre. It's a slaughterhouse in there.
Oh my God, it's a slaughterhouse.
It looks like Captain Custard, something. In the Indians. I was just like, what is he talking about? Like, Kit was going off. But at the same time, Kit's a sweetheart because he calms down and he's yelling at the cop, and he's just like, what the are you gonna do to fix this? Sorry, excuse me, ladies. He's funny. Kid is very cool. And this is also a little bit before Lana was murdered as well. This is right after Crystal's murder. Yo-Yo is the one that found Crystal's body. There's a scene where Street Dick is coming out of Crystal's cabin. Crystal was apparently, after John Dill had his way with her body, he just went Texas Chainsaw Massacre on her and just cut her up. They're literally pulling out body bags, like just bags of whatever is left to her. And so apparently, because they made plans to go on a date, he was waiting for her and she didn't show up, so he came to the cabin. And he's, I guess, the one that finds her body because he has the spinning top that he gave her, but it's covered in blood. He's poor guy. He is just crying. He really liked her. Yo-Yo is played by Stephen M. Porter. Now, Stephen M. Porter, I didn't even watch this show. The only thing I know about this show is that Rachel Bilson did a really dope-ass rap to promote this show, like when it first came out. But I'm talking about the show Heart of Dixie on the CW. It had Rachel Bilson from the OC and Jamie King from White Chicks and Lone Star State of Mind. I love Jamie King. I remember Rachel Bilson doing the Call Me Doctor rap.
Haters get 2 words. Doogie Howser.
Call me doctor.
What's up, Doc? What's up, Doc? What's up, Doc?
With Wilson Bethel, I believe was her co-star's name. He was the really hot one that I was rooting for her to get with because I was just like, gee whiz, like, pick him. Because I guess she had like 2 love interests, and I was always just like, him. Pick Farm Boy. And so Street Dick, he still has no emotion when anything is going on. He's still just very... okay. He's just very stoic. It killed me the entire time. Like, everybody is just giving such emotion and reaction to him. For example, after Lana is done for, May, Kit, and Angel all meet up at the diner. And Angel, she's just up in arms because she's just like...
Do you have any idea what they do to unclaimed bodies?
No, I don't reckon I do.
It's not a bad thing to be up in arms about this because Crystal had family, so she's going to get a proper burial. Lana, she's not from here. She's not a local girl like that, so the only family she has is her people on the street, Angel, May, and Kit. The funny thing about Donna Wilkes playing Molly/Angel, she's really good in this role. She has this raspy, cool voice, and it's very fun. When she's in the diner with her girls before anybody's really murdered, she's talking about a memory she had with her dad, and he used to put her up on her shoulders and they would go on the boulevard and look at movie stars, and she's just talking about it and just going through memory lane, and it's very cute. And then she says this line and she's like, yeah, and it was the best time of my life.
When I was about 5, he'd take me to dedication ceremonies. He'd prop me up on his shoulder so I could see all the movie stars. Oh, God, that was the best time of my life.
She just has this interesting voice. I really love it. The way she just delivers her lines, it has like an interesting effect to it. For example, she calls Street Dick out on his shit because he gets onto them about going to the morgue. We don't even see them go to the morgue. We just get the aftermath. And Street Dick is just like, what do y'all think you're doing? But he's not even showing an expression. He's not even that mad. He's just, what do you think you think you can just go to the morgue? And but Angel, the way she says this is cool. I love how she says, you don't care. You've got no feelings inside.
It's because you're nothing but a damn cop.
It's great. And then May, of course, just being fabulous throughout this movie. She has like this furry boa on, and she smacks Kit in the face with it.
Remind me never to get murdered.
But unfortunately, that's foreshadowing for later because May does in fact get murdered. We also do get more of Molly's school life. Not only does she have a cool relationship with Miss Allen, the guidance counselor, but she unfortunately gets messed with by this douche Rick and his scumbag friends, Tweedledee and this rat-looking dude, and they are just goons. And the thing is, Rick is like the dude that thinks he can score with everybody in high school.
I'm hot, and you're not. But if you want to hang with me, I'll give it one shot. Pop that.
And Molly is the only girl that won't give him the time of day because, you know, she's got real shit. The girl has real life issues.
I don't really give a about trying to stop that.
She doesn't need some dude. First of all, he looks like a character from the Archie comics. I don't know if his name was Lump or whatever the stupid one was. He looks just like him. He's got like this varsity like cardigan blazer, and he's blonde and just big, broad, and stupid. And he's all just like, hey guys, you know, let's make a play, like, you know, just to throw the football in front of her. Like, is that who? Okay. Who was really, I get professional football, but who was really sitting down just like watching regular dudes play football or like just toss a football around, and they're just like, oh my god, like, you see that spiral? Like, nobody's panties are flying off just because you threw a football down the hallway, but he just thinks he's everything, even though, dude, go to hell. And Molly has no time for him. She's just like, okay, no, I have better things to do. Goodbye, Rick. But he still keeps on forcing himself on her at times. Like, she's trying to close her locker and he won't let her close it. He grabs his junk and he's like, yeah, baby, don't you want this? And she's just like, dude, I'm trying to go to English. Like, why? He's just an utter asshole, and the guys he hangs out with are just disgusting. Like, they just look like guys that would just put something in somebody's drink at a college party. This one guy, because they confront her on Hollywood Boulevard because Rick is he's just so mad this girl won't give him the time of day. And they notice that she's on the street, and at night she's Angel, and they put two and two together that she's a teen prostitute. Well, they snatch her up off the street just immediately, like, which is okay. You've got a killer out there targeting young working girls, and these assholes just straight up snatch somebody off the street. Like, it was just too, and I get that it's a movie, but it was just too casual for that to just happen, and nobody's just like, you see that? That looked like a kidnapping. Because that girl looks younger than 17. Nobody just reacts, and it was very stupid and annoying. And the guys, they're ultimately talking about trying to gang her. And the rat-looking dude up front, he says, yeah, Molly, show us your whisker biscuit. Before that even happens, Molly gets a gun.
Janie's got a gun.
It's very, like, I don't want to say Sopranos, but it was just very secret mafia almost, the way she does this, because she orders a sandwich and the guy delivers it to her, but she takes the sandwich out and there's a gun. There's a small handgun. It looks like the noisy cricket from Men in Black.
I feel like I'm gonna break this damn thing.
When she shows it to Kit, he just looks, he's like, good God almighty. Because he's just like, what the hell are you going to kill with that? But it's enough of a gun to scare these three pricks. And she shoots Rick's front windshield. And she tells him to get the hell out of the car. Rick pisses his pants, and she says, yeah, Rick, look me up when you're toilet trained. And of course his guys are laughing at him, you know, because he's embarrassed. But Rick, of course, is the type of dude who, okay, if a girl's going to embarrass me, I'm just going to go all out and just slander her left and right. So next thing you know, Molly goes to school, and everybody knows that not only does she hook on Hollywood Boulevard, but he also did a very Veronica Sawyer type of lie. If you've seen the movie Heathers, basically these guys pull a curtain ram on Molly.
He said that he and Ram had a nice little sword fight in your mouth last night.
It seems like, and this is what I mean, nobody in her is really in her corner. in the outside angel world, except for Miss Allen, because even the nerd that was nice to her in the beginning, that asked her out, and she politely let him down easy, he comes up to her with $23 talking about, is that enough? Like, just propositioning her in the middle of the quad, and she has like a soap operatic moment and like grips her face, and she's just like, I can't believe my life. And I felt so bad for her, because it's just like, dude, really? First of all, $23, and he says like, I've been saving this. First of all, what the are you doing after school that you can only save up $23?
You're broke. You have no business being here.
I get that she's very hurt by this. And of course, Donna Welsh, she's not overacting. I just feel like because this movie, even though it's, this movie is a Sandy Howard production, but I also feel just because Donna Wilkes, she was in the movie Schizoid. This movie, Schizoid, was made by David Paulson, and David Paulson has done a lot of work on the soap opera Dynasty. So I'm just naturally kind of drawing that connection with how Donna Wilkes acts. She seems like a soap operatic actress, or excuse me, actor. Her world has been turned upside down. Everybody has exposed her. Even Miss Allen finds a gun in her locker, the same gun she used on Rick. And Rick just feels all vindicated and just walks off like he did something.
You thought you ate that? Bitch!
John Deal's character goes to a peep show, and he's putting his feet up all on the seats, and this one guy comes over and says, yeah, take your feet off my seats. And John Deal, he doesn't even really react. He just slowly moves his feet and doesn't say anything. But I guess he was just creeping people out during this time, because one of the ushers makes a big deal about it and gets one of the cops off the street to, you know, get the guy out of here. But they can't find him until they see him trying to sneak out. And later they pull him into a lineup. Now, I'm not even sure if this is a thing that the police department can just do. I don't know if they can just pull people off the street into a lineup just randomly, like you just go into a peep show where people are watching porn on the big screen and you just say, hey, yo, come into the lineup. It just seemed very random. But you want this guy to be caught, so I get it, but it was just, okay, you just go in and start calling people in for lineups now. That's okay, sure. And especially because we don't get that this guy maybe was arrested beforehand or is a repeat offender of something. We just get he's this random creep, this creepy thin man. And so he's pulled into the lineup. And even though we see Angel on the street before he's pulled into the lineup, we see her all dolled up as Angel. All of a sudden she's Molly and it's the daytime. And she is with Street Dick, and she has to identify this guy, but she's been struggling to this entire time because the first time she saw him, it was dark and it was at night, and Lana snuck off with him. Well, she realizes it the second that it's him, the second he turns to the left.
That's him, the guy with the small.
During this scene, it was really weird. This is what I mean by John Deal's disposition as this character is just so off-putting and uncomfortable. He's in the lineup, but you see parts where he just looks like a twitchy spaz. He just looks like he's just ready to, I don't know, fight the guy next to him. He just looks nervous, and it's just like, good God, dude, like just scream you're guilty at this point because you look crazy. And of course, Molly is like, him, that's the guy. But this rookie cop stupidly walks in as these guys are walking out. He walks in with his gun. John Deal snatches the guy's gun, saw it coming. He kills 2 officers, then he escapes. Street Dick, this is a bad day for him.
'Cause you had a bad day.
4 cops just got shot. 1 woman gets taken out, and it's just, okay. he's had a rough one. He even tries to light a cigarette, but like his hand is twitching and I get that too. You know, even if you're a trained, seasoned cop, there still might be moments where, you know, just too much heat in the moment and you might get a little shaky afterwards or have like a little PTSD trigger there. And so I get that for Street Dick. And he gets over it pretty quickly, though, and he just decides, okay, I'll walk you in. And while Molly, because it's daytime, while Molly is unlocking her door, she looks at Street Dick and she's just like, don't worry, I won't leave town. She's just very cool about it because she doesn't want anybody to come in. And she's very secretive about that too, because, for example, when Sully comes in to get the rent, Sully, I said, is not that great of an artist, but Molly, trying to be the supportive friend she is, she has one of Sully's paintings and she puts it up when Sully at least comes over, but when she's not here, she takes it down, and it's very funny. She opens the door and Street Dick is just like, I want to meet your mother.
And that, kids, is how I met your mother.
Because this entire time she's been talking about her mother is sick, but this is when we get it revealed what her home life truly is. Her mother's room, completely gutted out. There's moldy mattress, one dresser, empty closet. Like, nobody's lived there in almost 10 years. It's just gutted. Molly has been living by herself since she was 12. Her mom left 3 years prior, and Molly even says,
Knowing her, she probably got dumped in Cleveland.
her mom leaves a note like, hey, Molly, I met this guy, moving to New York. Take care of yourself, bye. Poor girl. And her dad, he walked out and he said he was going to come back for her, but he just never did. And she still held out hope for 9 years. She gave up on her mom.
You were a terrible mother. There! I said it!
But her dad, she really just had such a strong, like, he's got to come back. I'm not leaving until he comes back for me. And she says that.
What makes you think he's coming back after 9 years?
Street Dick, he's also very hard on Molly. There's a scene where he is just giving her this talk, like, you know what he says, you know what happens to used up whores on the street? And he's just he is kind of judgmental, but at the same time, you can tell he cares, and he's trying to give her a little bit of tough love there. But he's also just not a nurturing character, because she goes to Street Dick for a shoulder to cry on, but as she's crying on his shoulder, he's afraid to almost touch her. He's just kind of like okay, good, okay.
Easy, kid.
May knows what her real situation is, and I didn't even catch this until just recently watching this, and I watched this movie like 6 times before I even did this podcast. And May, it's actually revealed that she knows that about her mom and everything, because May, when Miss Allen goes to Molly's apartment, the first thing she's like is, well, I'd like to speak to Mrs. Stewart, Molly's mom. May is instantly just like,
Holy crap.
I gotta get up there. So, and May is, of course, dressed in all her garb, and she's trying to make it seem like, well, my daughter's embarrassed of me because I dress like this, and it's who I am. But Ms. Allen is not with the bullshit. She's just like, I don't know whose mom you are.
But you are definitely not Molly's.
I'm not.
And she's like, just cut the crap. And I respect it. She even has a moment with Sully, because Sully doesn't want to give her the key to Molly's apartment. And she's just like, okay, well, we don't let people just into the apartments, and that woman's an invalid. She don't see nobody. And, you know, it's just a lot of back and forth, like, I'm not letting you in. And Ms. Allen just straight up grips up Sully, and she's just like, look here, face. There are so many violations in this building, you know, and it was just like, like, Ms. Allen, she don't around. She was not playing, but she redeems herself a little bit, because I was like, don't get bitchy.
We're not getting
shadow.
Don't be mean to Sully, okay? Like, she's good people. But Miss Allen's cool, too, because we find out she actually has a conversation with May, and they're both in agreement. They want to get Molly off the street. They want to get her in a good home and just keep her safe. They give a damn. Miss Allen even says, I really care about this girl, and I want to make sure she's safe, especially with this killer out there. So they both agree, and they have a sweet moment. Miss Allen she asks May's real name, and he says Marvin Walker, and she says, well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Marvin. And then she comes back and she says, by the way, that dress, Saks. and he's just like, I got it on sale. And it was cute. But unfortunately, May gets murdered because John Deal's character, he escaped during this whole shootout, and for some reason decided to shave his head, and he is pretending to be a Hare Krishna. We even see him when, like, the Hare Krishnas are dancing in the streets on Hollywood Boulevard. He's, like, dancing with them, but he's in disguise. Now his main focus is getting Molly. He wants to kill Molly specifically. He goes to her apartment, but the thing is, Collins is outside doing a stakeout. And you just see this white Hare Krishna guy just, like, shimmying over to her building. And it's just kind of like, that's not normal. That's random.
I am so random. I can't believe I just did that. Sorry.
John Deal goes to Angel's apartment, and there is this whole kitchen fight between him and May. May is no bitch. And they tear her entire apartment up, by the way. The table is smashed in half. Every couch is turned over. The kitchen is destroyed. The table. It's like the director just said, destroy everything in sight. The actor that's playing May is a Buffalo native, by the way, because Buffalo is my second hometown, Buffalo, New York.
Go, go, Buffalo!
And this actor, Dick Shawn, is from Buffalo, and Shawn was a comedian. So Dick Shawn, apparently, one fact I found that was interesting, he was at Tommy Chong's roast.
Ready for Steven Spielberg's next movie, The Color Gray? Would you welcome, please, Dick Shawn?
And he vomited pea soup on everybody, including the comedians on the dais. And they just thought it was absolutely comedic gold. Cool. I mean, then again, people think Jackass is brilliant, and on some level it kind of was.
Is this the worst you've ever had to go boom boom?
No. I shit my pants at the fair.
May gets stabbed after John Deal just tackles May into Angel's bed. Sully finds May, and it's very sad, but comedic at the same time, because May has just always had a great sense of humor throughout this entire movie. And Sully's just like, what are you doing? And she's just like, I'm dying.
Dying, god damn it, I'm dying.
Angel rushes off with Sully's gun, and we get introduced to Sully's gun later. Yeah, Sully's gun is basically a character at this point, because there's a point where Sully has the gun in her pants and May is like, please take that out. You're going to shoot your balls off, all 8 of them. And so Angel runs off with Sully's gun, and it's just on the streets of Hollywood Boulevard, just, waving this gun around at everybody.
She's got a gun! She's got a gun!
They're already looking at her like, what the hell is this girl doing? But Yo-Yo sees John Deal dressed as a Hare Krishna, and he's just like, this is sketch. And then he calls out to her, and then there's this whole chase scene. Donna Wilkes is chasing John Deal's character in full speed and heels, and I'm always impressed when women do this in film, just because it's just like, dude, I know that has to hurt like hell, and these are like stilettos, and she is just all the way down Hollywood Boulevard with her gun, and power to Donna Wilkes. And they get into this alley. She's chased him like 3 blocks at this point, but Street Dick and Kit, they meet up and he's locked and loaded as always. There's actually a scene where Kit is teaching Molly how to shoot, and he takes her to his place. It's like an abandoned warehouse, and he's got mannequins as a shooting range. Very, very Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween. He does like a pew, pew, pew thing with her, and it's cute. He teaches her how to shoot, so that's where she got her skills from. But she can't figure out where the killer is, and John Deal is about to shoot her, but then Kit shows up, and Kit unfortunately gets shot in the stomach, but he's not dead. Street Dick comes up and he's just like, "Kit, are you okay?" And he's just like, "Go help Angel." Kit shoots John Deal, and he shoots him multiple times. John Deal's character just says, "It hurts. You." And then they just walk off into the night, and that's pretty much how it ends. And the thing is, this movie, it has sequels, which is crazy. I thought that was very interesting, especially terrible sequels. Apparently every sequel is panned.
You're more of a prostitute than I ever was.
And to rescue the sister she never knew.
I've got to find some way to get to her. She's in danger.
And even the next sequel, Angel 2, I guess, all the actors returned. So Stephen M. Porter is playing Yo-Yo Charlie. Roy Calhoun is playing Kit Carson. Susan Terrell showed up once again to play Sully Mulsler. But Donna Wilkes did not return. However, Betsy Russell is playing Molly / Angel in the next one.
When you get to hell, tell him an angel sent you.
If you don't know who Betsy Russell is, she's infamously Jill Tuck in the Saw franchise.
Game over.
Jigsaw's Boo-Thang. So I thought that was cool and kind of a fun little connection between horror. So we have Roy Calhoun playing Kit Carson. Roy Calhoun is an interesting actor. So he has 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame for TV and movies. And he was notably mostly a Western star. Apparently this guy got arrested 3 times before 21. He was always hot wiring cars, stealing cars. He just had a rough upbringing, but he lucks out when he makes friends with Alan Ladd. And Alan Ladd, I looked up, that's actually Jordan Ladd's grandfather. Now, Jordan Ladd is an actor. The roles I remember her from, she is Gibby Zarefsky in Never Been Kissed, the main mean girl.
Oh my god, you totally ripped off my Malibu Barbie idea. I'm Disco Barbie.
And then she's also in a lot of horror movies. One, she's Judy in the Thanksgiving trailer.
Cool it, Judy. You're safe. Mommy's here.
Every guy she makes out with gets their head cut off. I really wish they made Thanksgiving as a movie. I'm pissed they haven't. Same thing with Werewolf Women of the SS. That would have been a great double feature right there. Jordan Ladd, she also dies in Cabin Fever. She plays the first girl that dies, Karen. And Ryder Strong has to bash her face in because her face is rotted off at the mouth. And so Jordan Ladd's definitely a scream queen in her own right. She's definitely been in quite a few horror movies. I really enjoy her in horror films in general. Her grandfather is the one that gave Roy Calhoun his shot. He just went on to become this big old Western star and got all these stars on the Walk of Fame, and good for him, you know. And same thing with Susan Terrell and just the work she did.
I spread eagled in a line of towns. I couldn't find no man to lay me down.
She got a Saturn Award for Andy Warhol's film Bad, and she won several awards for Fat City. Cliff Gorman is the one that's playing Street Dick, Officer Andrews, and the only thing I know about him is he was in All That Jazz, the film about Bob Fosse. And the only reason I know about All That Jazz is because the It's Showtime thing.
It's showtime, folks.
I've watched the Friday the 13th Crystal Lake Memories documentary religiously by this point. I can actually quote interview quotes that Adrian King said. I watched it so much. I love that documentary. One of the actresses who was in Friday the 13th Part 5, she was talking about Bob Fosse and all that jazz. When she pulls her shirt open and shows her boobs, she improvised the line, "It's showtime!" And she wanted to do that because she had just seen the movie. I love this movie. I've seen it so many times that every time I watch it, it's not only a breezy watch, but it's a fun, sweet watch because it all just wraps up nicely. It has great acting, great characters, great performances. In terms of gore, it's not up there. You see people get stabbed with a knife. It's not enough. You see Lana bloodied in the shower, but we don't see her actually get killed, so it's not that big of a deal. I would venture to give Angel, I'll say 4 slashes. And the only reason I want to give it 4 slashes is just because May is fabulous. I love some May. May was just shade for days. Best friend you could ever have. I stan. I would really like to thank you guys for listening to the Slasha Brotha podcast. If you'd like to follow me on social media, you can find me at Martian Prince Jr. I did start a Slasha Brotha Instagram, and also I am officially on Spotify and all the other podcast streaming platforms. So if you look up the Slasha Brotha podcast, you can find me wherever you get your podcasts now. I am your host, Rashard Cunningham, and until it is time to slay another day, I will see you guys later.